I'm wishing that this video turns out okay. I'm hoping, pool day. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. Hey y'all, welcome back. It's Mia the Hippie back again with another video. First of all, before we start this video, I'm struggling with lighting right now. In fact, let me try and fix it really quick. I just have a desk lamp. I don't have actual lighting to work with. I really wish I did. Jesus, that would make things way easier, but I don't. So we're just gonna have to deal with this terrible lighting that I have here. I don't have any sort of setup, so I apologize for that. Before I start this video, I want to give you guys a little bit of an update of what's just been going on in my life recently. So if you want to actually get to the start of the video, just go to this timestamp right here. I've just recently started working again, which is just amazing. I miss my job so much. And I've also been taking a biology class for the summertime, which has been difficult to say the least. I'm not really a smart gal. Like, I'm not the sharpest tool in the tent. Like, I'm not dull, but I'm not sharp. And it's been pretty difficult to like sort of develop a routine for myself. And that's one of the things that I've been working on lately. And I wanted to get that under control before I started making videos again. And now I finally feel that I have some sort of control in my life. So that's why we're making this video, finally. In fact, I actually wrote this script about a month and a half ago. And it has been sitting on my computer for so long because I haven't had the chance to just sit down and film it. Well, actually I did. So I originally recorded this video about 2-3 weeks ago, and it was about 50 minutes of footage to start off with. This is so funny to me because this video actually had 75 minutes of raw footage. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And then one day my phone decided to just completely run out of storage all of a sudden. And I have this little flash drive that I normally use, and I was using that, but it wasn't working. And then I realized it was because of the quality of the video, like later on, way too late. And I decided to delete it and just never film it and never show my face on YouTube ever again because I was so ashamed that I deleted it, because I literally just did not have the time or energy to like compress it into this pixelated mess. So that is why this video is very, very late, but I promised that this would be the next video, and this is the video that I'm coming back with after about a month of not posting. We're going to be talking about the golden age of Disney, and that includes 5 movies. We're going to be talking about Fantasia, Snow White, Bambi, Dumbo, and Pinocchio. Now, let me start off this video by saying, if you disagree with me on anything that I'm about to say, then you're completely allowed to. This is just sort of me creating a rubric for myself and then going off of that. I love all of these movies in their own little special way because all of them have such different storylines and they're all just special in their own way. So if you disagree with me on anything, just know that it's within your right and you can click off of this video if you disagree with me. You don't have to watch it all the way through. All right, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the Golden Age took place in between the years 1937 and 1942. This is when a lot of things in the film industry were sort of taking off. And one of those things was Technicolor. Now, if you don't know what Technicolor is, the very, very basic description that I can give to you, it's layering red, green or yellow, and then blue on top of each other to make a colorful film. And during that time, it was still a very new thing. And you can see, and I'll put an example right here, most of the movie posters, all of them say made with Technicolor, we use Technicolor, something along those lines. Now, another way that the Golden Age is different from other eras in Disney is that the changes in mood are very, very dramatic. Another name that the Golden Age has is the tar and sugar era. And that basically means that the scene can go from light to dark very, very quickly and very, very dramatically. A great example of this is when the forest catches on fire in Bambi. Like everything's like good, everyone's happy and dancing around, then all of a sudden, bam, there's a forest fire. There's hunters that are coming. It's scary. Now, you read the title, we're going to be ranking all of the movies. So of course, all of these movies are great individually, but let's put them to the test. So I've composed a rubric. The things that I considered while ranking these movies was storyline, character quality, audience response, and lesson. Starting off at number 5 is Fantasia. Now, don't click off of this video. If you haven't seen Fantasia, I highly recommend that you do. This movie is extraordinary. I like to tell people who haven't seen this movie, if you're 5 years old, you're gonna enjoy this movie, and if you're 80 years old, you're gonna enjoy this movie. This movie is basically an orchestra who is, I don't remember which orchestra it is, so please excuse me. They're playing different classical music pieces, and the animators created animations to go along with these pieces with what they thought would go along with the music. You need to watch the movie to know what I'm talking about. Now, starting off with storyline, I gave this a 2 out of 5. There isn't really a storyline when it comes to this movie. There's only a handful of short animations to go off of. The only one that has a mild storyline is with Mickey Mouse as the sorcerer. And even though that is kind of a story, it's not a very long one. Again, it's just a compilation of animations. The film was really meant to just showcase Mickey Mouse because before this time, he really hadn't made an appearance yet. He had only ever been seen before in short films and never in a full feature-length animated film. Next, for character quality, I gave this movie another 2 out of 5. The characters weren't really given a lot of time on screen, so it's really hard to give them a good score because of how short their time was. Again, the only character who was pretty consistent throughout the movie and who had a lot of relevance is Mickey Mouse. And even though this movie was made in 1940, you can really see that his character was kind of already developed. He was already this playful, really, really kind person that just loved talking to people. And you can see that really well when he goes up and tells the conductor that he did an amazing job. The next category is audience response. Now you might be wondering, how did I calculate audience response? So I had 2 options. I could go on Rotten Tomatoes and see how people liked this film and just copy their information. But then I decided, you know what would be even better? If I asked my followers. So that's exactly what I did. I posted on my Instagram story a very basic question. Do you like this movie? And this is the response. And I gave it a score out of 5. I did the math and it should be a 4.1 out of 5, roughly. I don't know. You can round up or round down however you want. I rounded up, so I gave this a 4.1 out of 5. I think that score is actually pretty high because every time I talk to somebody about the movie Fantasia, they never know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen this movie, again, please watch it. Even though under this circumstance, it's scored pretty low, it's still a great film. It's still considered a part of the golden age for a reason. I highly recommend this film to anyone who has like a special place for music in their heart. I'm literally gonna put the hashtag of this video as #WatchFantasia because you should. It's a good movie. For the lesson, I gave this a 1 out of 5. Again, there's really no lesson in this film. The only thing that you could probably count as a lesson is in the short little animation with Mickey Mouse and the broomstick, which is basically just be careful with what you wish for. The grand score for this movie comes up to a total of 2.3 out of 5. Now again, even though this is scored low, please watch this movie. In fact, all of you Disney Plus users, if you haven't watched this movie, finish watching this video and then go watch it. Coming in at number 4, we have Dumbo. Now again, even though it's ranked as number 4, this movie has a special place in my little heart. Now, fun fact about this movie, it actually was not supposed to be a fully animated movie. This was actually only supposed to be a short film, but because Fantasia, which came out the year before, was so expensive, he went ahead and made this a full movie. But in my eyes, it's still considered a short movie. This is actually the shortest Disney film that you'll ever have. I don't know if that's actually true, but come on, it's an hour and 5 minutes long. Let's get into the storyline. So I gave this storyline a 2 out of 5. And the reason why I gave it a 2 out of 5 is because it has a very, very good storyline most of the time, but there is a filler scene, and I think you know what scene I'm talking about. Yes, that scene. It is the scene where Dumbo gets drunk with Timothy Mouse, and they hallucinate and see a bunch of pink elephants dancing. Dumbo and Timothy had this weird thing that happened to them, and then all of a sudden they wake up and they're like, how did we get in this tree? But I feel like they could have played it so much differently. And the only reason why I say that is because this scene is 5 minutes long. I don't even know how much of a fraction that is to the film. I don't even know how much that is, like, considering the film is only an hour and 5 minutes long. I think this scene is pretty unnecessary. Maybe they just wanted to show off their Technicolor skills, but I still feel like that scene is just way too long, way too unnecessarily long. Like, maybe have, like, the elephants, like, dancing over their head or something, and then they get into, like, a situation where, like, they mess with the tigers or the hippos or the lions or whatever, and then something happens and then they wind up, like, launching into the tree, or, like, you see Dumbo flying into the tree, and then, like, the rest of the movie goes on, and that's when Dumbo, like, discovers, like, oh my god, I can fly, and then you in the audience are like, yeah, you literally just did. Now we're going to talk about the character quality of this movie. I give the character quality a 4 out of 5. And the only reason why the character quality is not a 5 is because of this. Now, I'm not going to get into this because I can make a 50-minute video on why this is wrong. I will link an excellent article about this in the description below. Please read it. I think the characters are all very well written. I think Timothy is a very good character in this film because, for one thing, Dumbo doesn't have any lines. If you didn't know that, you know that now. I think when you put, like, an extremely talkative character with, like, a really, really quiet character, like, I think it goes really well. I also like Mrs. Jumbo, and the reason why I like Mrs. Jumbo, which is Dumbo's mom, that's her name. Even the pelican says it. It's Mrs. Jumbo. Her character kind of touches on the fact that it's really hard to raise a baby by yourself because obviously there was no father. Dumbo was delivered by a pelican, I believe, because it's the 1940s and we can't show that on film. That it's really, really difficult to raise a child by yourself. It's super hard, and especially if they're different from literally everybody else. But even though he was different, even though he had these ginormous ears, she still loved him to death. And I think that that is so cute. Now this leads to a handful of characters that I think were very well written because I hate them so much, but I hate them because they were so well written. And that is the group of elephant females that made fun of Mrs. Jumbo for having a unique baby. Let's talk about this for a minute. These girls or these elephants are basically the mean girls out of this whole film. They gave Mrs. Jumbo a hard time because she defended her son. Excuse me, she's supposed to do that. That's her job as a mother, is to knock little 13-year-old boys on their butt because they won't leave her son alone. Like, what else is she gonna do? Just stand there? And then they shun him basically because he was different and he was basically on his own without a mother. He basically just looked the other way. You think that one of the elephants would at least just, like, take him under his arm and maybe comfort him a little bit? But no, they're like, yeah, your mom's a nut job. On your own, I guess. But again, I think Timothy Mouse is an amazing character in the sense that he saved Dumbo from being sad and lonely and depressed because his mom was kept in a cage. Let's get into audience response. This is the audience response for my Instagram story, and the math I did turned this into a 4.5 out of 5. Still very, very high. Now for the lesson, I give this a 5 out of 5. And this needs to be said right now because it's 2020 and we're still having this issue. Just because someone is different than you does not mean you should treat them of less equality. You should treat everybody with kindness no matter what they look like or where they come from. And for being a film that came out in the year 1941, I think people in 1941 needed to hear that, and I think the people in 2020 now need to hear that. And I'm not going to talk about this too much, but I feel like the world is in pieces a little bit right now. And I'm going to link some places where you can educate yourself in the description below because I'm not about to just go on a rant, but guys, just be kind to each other. But the world is in pieces and we need to fix it. And that's all I'm going to say. Alright, I'm not going around about that. Let's just move on. Dumbo overall gets a grand score of 3.9 out of 5. Almost a 4 out of 5. It's still a very good movie and I highly recommend it to absolutely everybody. Moving on to number 3, we have Bambi. Now, I don't know if y'all have seen this movie. I personally hadn't seen this movie in ages. I actually needed to rewatch it again because I did not remember any of it. I feel like this movie is really the true definition of a golden age movie. Remember how we were talking about the tar and sugar? This movie is tar and sugar. There are so many scenes where it just turns really, really quickly. And that's one of the reasons why I gave this storyline a 4 out of 5. I feel like one of the main reasons why I didn't give this storyline a 5 out of 5 is because if you look at the movie poster, and I'll put it right here, it says love story. I don't know if y'all have seen this movie all the way through, but it's definitely not a love story because for one thing, he only sees Feline like twice out of the whole movie. And I get they're animals, but I don't think they see each other often enough to call it a love story. But that's just my opinion. And I feel like they intended it to be a love story, but it's not a love story. The coming of age film, it's not a love story. But I guess if you put love story on a movie poster, then more people will watch it? I don't know. Moving on to character quality. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I feel like all of the characters have their own individual personalities. And I think you can see that like right from the get-go. You can see that Thumper is this really energetic little bunny who just wants to be friends with everybody. And he's really, really cute. And I really want a bunny rabbit when I'm older. And Flower is this shy little boy, by the way. Flower's a boy. Did you all know that? I did not think Flower was a boy. And then Bambi is like really, really curious, but still pretty playful. And the thing that I find hilarious, and that is the only reason why this didn't get a perfect score, because this makes absolutely no sense to me. So the first majority of the movie, you see all of the little animals playing around and you hear their voices, and they sound like little animals playing around in a Disney animated film. But then when spring comes again the next year, their voices sound like 65-year-old men who have smoked cigars all their life. It doesn't make any sense. Also, who thought Flower was a girl? That's another thing that like threw me off. I thought Flower was a girl, but honestly, it's okay. I just was confused. For audience response, this is the Instagram poll, and I did the math, and it is a 4.5 out of 5. Still very, very high. Surprisingly high. Every time I talk to people about this movie, I feel like they have such a negative opinion about it. Like, oh, it's too boring. Oh, they shoot his mom and it's sad. That's what makes it a golden age film. That's the point. That's like what the writers were going for. They wanted you to feel every single emotion that there is in 1 hour and 10-minute film. All right, let's move on to the lesson. I think it's very generic. Life happens. How are you gonna get over it? But I think the reason why I liked this movie is because of the animation. I think that the way that they painted the forest and how they made nature look was just so cool, and I love it. So that might be why I just like this film, is because I think it looks pretty. But 4.2 out of 5 of you enjoyed this film. This movie gets a grand score of 4.2 out of 5. Again, very, very good movie. All right, now moving on to number 2, Pinocchio. This movie has a special place in my heart. Let me take you back Christmas of 2019. I had never seen this movie before, and I instantly fell in love with it. And the minute this movie ended, I just felt like my life had been shifted. This movie is a good feeling movie for a few reasons. For one thing, it has a fairy. Geppetto is just about the nicest human being on earth. I love him. He's my favorite character out of everyone in this film. For the storyline of this movie, I gave it a 4 out of 5. And the only reason why I didn't give this a 5 out of 5 is because of that part where little boys get turned into donkeys. That scene is terrifying. Think about it though. This man is literally luring these boys in so he can turn them into slaves. Tell me that isn't human trafficking in a Disney movie. But that's the only reason why I wouldn't give this storyline a 5 out of 5. The character quality is another 4 out of 5. I feel like every character was written extremely well. Geppetto, I love the way he talks to his pets, especially his fish. He calls her his little water baby, which is just darling. Just the fact that he left his house and he took everybody with him because we gotta go look for Pinocchio. And I think that just really shows that he's just a good, well-written character. And I feel like that would make someone in the audience just feel very good. But I do have one critique. Why is this guy a fox, but everyone else is a human, or well, wooden toy, but eventually he becomes a human. Why is he a fox, and why is his sidekick a fox? I mean, I get why they wrote him as a fox, like, because it's like, oh, I'm sneaky, I'm sly, like, swiper no swiping. But I don't get why he's a fox and everyone else is a human. Like, it doesn't go, you get me? Like, it just doesn't go very well. That's the only critique I have. And the audience response has a score of 4.25 out of 5. I'm really shocked because more people liked Bambi than Pinocchio. How do you like Bambi more than Pinocchio? Pinocchio has more of a storyline. Now for the life lesson, it's very, very clear. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Like, if you watch this movie for the first time, I could easily ask you what the life lesson is and you'd be able to tell me you shouldn't lie. And this movie gets a grand score of 4.3 out of 5. A very, very good movie, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Alright, coming in with the number 1 ranking, out of all of the movies that came out during the Golden Age, the number 1 movie is Snow White. This movie, like many of the other ones, does a great job of portraying the tar and sugar aspect of the Golden Age. You feel fear, you feel sadness, you feel happiness, you feel anger. The storyline is extremely consistent. You get to travel with her as she's going through this life-changing event. For character quality, I gave this movie a 4 out of 5. All of the characters are written extremely well. I feel like they dedicated a person to write each character, and everyone took extreme care as they were writing it. Everyone tried really hard to make their character good because all of them are written well. Now, there's actually a lot of controversy about this film. Snow White was what little girls wanted to be when they were older. I do think that she teaches that you should be kind to everybody and you should do your best in helping people out as often as you can. Now let's talk about the other characters that are in the movie title along with Snow White. The 7 dwarfs. Women weren't really respected as a strong presence in society, but all 7 of the dwarves respected Snow White greatly. Even though she was a female, they all treated her so kindly. They treated her like a princess. And the scene that gets me every single time for some odd reason is at the end of the movie when Snow White is laying in her glass coffin and they are all crying. You can just see that they are so heartbroken that she's gone. And it just puts warmth in your heart when you see their faces when she finally wakes up. Now, I talked about the fact that Snow White sort of went on this little life journey, but not only her, the dwarves did as well, specifically Grumpy. Grumpy went on a little life journey of his own. He learned to sort of come out of his shell that he had, and he started to warm up to everybody a little bit. He changed. I think it's pretty good to say that this movie did definitely get in the number 1 spot because not only did the main character show growth, other side characters around that character showed growth as well. That is one of the main reasons why this movie scored so high. For audience response, this movie got a 4.5 out of 5, which I expected to actually be higher because she is a Disney princess, and the movies with Disney princesses with them are generally more well known. Alright, now the lesson. Grand score for this movie is a 4.37 out of 5, which is the highest score out of all 5 movies. Thank you guys so much for watching this incredibly long video. This footage is a lot longer than the footage that I had beforehand, and I hope that I can get this out within a reasonable amount of days.
Hey guys, it's Mia. This is Editing Mia. It is currently August 1st. This footage was taken in the middle to the end of June, and now it's August. It just goes to show how long it's been since I've uploaded a video. I do have a video in the making regarding to me moving in and setting everything up, so if you're interested in that, that should be going up in a couple days, and I know I said that in the last video, but this is actually going to come up in a couple days. This movie took an unreasonably amount of time for 2 reasons. For one thing, my life was just being very hectic, and I didn't really have the time to edit during the day. And this video, getting all of the information and stuff did take a reasonable amount of time. I also wanted to say that, again, if you don't agree with me with any of these things, then you're completely allowed to. You can make your own video saying what you think. You can make your own rubric. This is just what I think in the rubric that I made. I also wanted to say that I didn't order these movies in the order that I liked them, because if that were the case, Fantasia would be number one. But that's all I had to say. I have my own opinion, and if you disagree with me, then you're completely allowed to. The second reason why I didn't upload this video is because I thought that it was an inappropriate time. Those of you living in the United States know that our country is, right now, it's in shambles. And I felt that it was sort of an inappropriate time to be uploading content. But then it occurred to me that it is my job as a creator to distract people from the chaos that's going on in the world. But also, I want to make it known of what is going on. So I've linked a website that you can go to donate money in the description below. If you liked this video, please leave a like if you liked it. And if you would like more content, please press the subscribe button and be sure to click the bell for when I do post. And I will try my best to start posting consistently, but obviously if I can't make that happen, then I will give you guys updates on my Instagram. Please follow me on my Instagram at Mia the Hippie. And finally, leave a comment down below on things you would like to see next. Wait, one more thing. So I'm gonna do this thing where I do a shout out at the end of each video, and if you would like for me to shout you out in the next video, all you have to do is answer this question and maybe I'll pick you. The question is, what is your favorite Disney movie and why is it your favorite Disney movie? And I will pick the best answer and feature it in my next video. Alright, as always, stay safe, peace and love. Love you guys.